Hello everyone, happy Halloween. You are listening to Kristen from krisdoesbeauty, also known in the pinup community as Bonnie to Lovely. And on this very spooky special edition Hallows Eve, we'll be diving into the original slasher film, one that's credited for kind of starting the genre, Halloween 1978. And before we jump into the movie review, feel free to leave a comment, like, subscribe. I would love to see you all again here on either my YouTube channel or my Instagram. I also am a licensed stylist at Bombshell salon, so please go ahead and give me a visit there. You can always call in, schedule an appointment. I do free consultations. So, now to jump into this movie, directed by John Carpenter. Halloween is a cult classic and a horror masterpiece. Released October 25th, 1978, with a running time of 91 minutes. The budget was $325,000, and the box office broke at $70 million. Primarily praised for Carpenter's direction as well as score, because he did write the music as well as direct the movie. Many credit the film as the first in a long line of slasher films inspired by Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho, 1960. Some suggest that the film is a social critique of the, in parentheses, immortality of youth, meaning that most of Michael's victims were promiscuous and or under the influences of substances, and the heroine are Scream Queen, the original daughter of the Scream Queen of Psycho, Jamie Lee Curtis, is the epitome of innocent and pure, thus resulting in her survival, although Carpenter has dismissed this theory. Halloween spawned a film franchise consisting of 4 direct sequels, a reboot with its own sequel, another remake with its own sequel, 1 parallel universe sequel, and another reboot, thus making 11 movies total, all going into the backstory of Michael Myers plus some. So the plot starts out in 1963 in Haddonfield, Illinois. On Halloween night, 16-year-old Michael Myers grabs a clown mask and a kitchen knife, like a butcher knife, and goes after his older sister, Judith Myers. And you are greeted with the music, which was beautifully just everything. It really does make sense that the director, John Carpenter, did write the score, because the two, music and movie, are just so parallel together. You can tell that it was from the same vision and the same brain behind it. So the music starts out, and you're just following kind of behind the eyes of Michael Myers in that clown mask, and you see him approach his sister, kill her. You see the stabbing and everything, as well as the cliche boob shot, which is always in slasher films. And then you see Michael's parents come and find him and are just so stunned that their 16-year-old boy just, butchered his older sister. After that event, Michael is incarcerated at Smith's Grove Sanitarium. 15 years later, Michael's psychiatrist, Dr. Samuel Lewis, this is also the day before Halloween, so October 30th, that evening, he and his colleague, a nurse, are arriving to the sanitarium in the dark at night, while it's raining, to escort Michael to court. Michael escapes by stealing their car and returns to Haddonfield, killing a mechanic for his overalls, as well as stealing a white mask and knives from a local hardware store. And now, on Halloween Day, we are first given the shot of Laurie Strode, played by our queen, Jamie Lee Curtis. She wakes up, just a normal day. It's Halloween. You can tell by all the jack-o'-lanterns and the leaves and everything like that. Oh, there's jack-o'-lanterns all over the movie, which also adds to how awesome it is, not just as a Halloween movie, but as a horror classic. Anyway, you see her. She does a favor for her dad, drops off a key at his former home so her father can sell it. Michael stalks her throughout the day, which she notices, but her friends, Annie and Linda, dismiss her concerns. Also, before we jump into that completely, there is a really cute scene where she's just walking throughout the neighborhood, and it's just, I always really liked Halloween because it reminded me of where I'm from, Richmond, Virginia, in the north side area. That's where my mother in particular grew out. I grew up in the suburbs, but Jamie Lee Curtis walking through that neighborhood just looks very identical to that area. So to me, it's always had some sort of special significance. And anyway, as she's walking through the neighborhood, the little boy that she babysits, Tommy, comes up to her, and they are walking. And as she's going to drop off the key, he makes jokes about it being the boogeyman. One of the kids in his school makes fun of him, saying the boogeyman's in there and the boogeyman's after him, and she just kind of jokes with him about it and sets the key in, and all is fine, just to prove a point of, oh, there's no boogeyman. Meanwhile, Michael Myers is in there. While that is all going on, Dr. Loomis arrives in Haddonfield in search for Michael, obviously, because he knows he's going to go back home, and finds Judith Myers' tombstone missing from the local cemetery. He meets Annie's father, who is the sheriff of the area, and they both start investigating the Myers house, where Loomis convinces him of the danger that Michael Myers possesses in general, considering everything that was going on. They decide to patrol the streets, and Loomis is going to wait at the house, expecting for Michael Myers' return. Later that night, you have Lori babysitting Tommy from earlier, Tommy Doyle, while Annie is her friend across the street babysitting Lindsay Wallace, unaware that Michael Myers has been following them all day. When Annie's boyfriend Paul calls her to come pick him up, she takes Lindsay over to the Doyle house to spend the night with Lori and Tommy. Before Annie can leave in her car, Michael slits her throat. Soon after, Linda and her boyfriend arrive at the Wallace house, because they had all kind of agreed that they'd all meet up there. And then they just go in, just being promiscuous as usual, not caring, and then they realize that no one's there, but they don't care. They end up having sex, and then Bob goes downstairs to grab beer for Linda when Michael stabs him. Michael then pretends to be Bob as he's in a ghost costume with the glasses and confronts Linda, who teases him, which has no effect on him whatsoever. Annoyed, Linda then calls Lori, but as she is on the phone and as Lori answers the phone, Michael ends up strangling her with the telephone cord and dies just on the phone like that. And Lori's very confused as to everything that's going on. Suspicious and kind of annoyed that all the kids were dumped on her, Lori goes over to the Wallace house and finds the bodies of all of her friends dead, as well as Judith Myers' headstone. She cowers in a hallway where Michael appears and attacks her. Barely escaping, Lori attempts to go back to the Doyle house, and it's just one of those scenes that you're always going to remember. Just the momentum and just that chase scene is really what created the genre of slasher. I mean, it really identified the whole, you're running and there's some masked man coming at you with a huge knife, and just the suspense of it all, and just the scene of her going door to door, knocking, screaming to get help, and people either aren't home or they are home and they turn their lights off because they don't want to deal with whatever's going on outside, even though at the end of the day, like, she's obviously about to get murdered, but, you know, closed-minded people. Anyway, so she barely struggling to get in, and she loses the key at one point, and just the suspense of it all while you see Michael Myers coming for her is just insane. Eventually, she gets in, and she tells the kids to run upstairs, hide, and then there's a lot of, eventually, of course, Michael breaks in, tries to kill him. She kills him, so she thinks, and then gets the kids, lets them know it's all okay, whatever. But then it's kind of a game for a few times of she thinks she kills him, but she really doesn't, and the music just plays into the suspense of, well, is he dead? Is he not dead? Well, they're fighting again. We're in another struggle. And then eventually in a fight for life or death with Lori, she takes his mask off, and right at that moment, Dr. Loomis comes in, shoots Michael so much that he falls out the window of the house, and the killing music that would always play when he striked anyone goes. And it's just a really cool scene. And that's when Laurie goes to Loomis, was that the boogeyman? And he goes, as a matter of fact, it was. And right at that moment, you look outside and Michael Myers has completely disappeared. Not there anymore. And that is the conclusion of Halloween, with the beautiful scenes of just that music building momentum. You'd panel each one of the houses in the neighborhood, and it gives you that eerie feeling, as well as Michael's breathing of just, he could really be behind any corner out there, just waiting for you. And that was definitely the point of the original movie, before going into them being siblings and all of that kind of added on stuff that happened throughout the franchise later. This movie just wanted to give that first real look at, maybe the monster isn't just these monsters that we see in the horror films like Dracula and all of those. Like, maybe we need to look at your neighbor or the person next door. Like, anyone is capable of anything, and maybe those are the real monsters that we should be worried about. So, let me know what you think about this in the comments below, and I actually have a very special message for you all in just a few moments here. Alright everybody, so this about wraps up my kind of spooky, scary Saturday, going into Halloween Day sort of marathon that I have been going through for the last month and a half. So if you enjoyed these types of movie talks or movie reviews, or however you would like to refer to them, and you really liked doing these get ready with me sort of videos of me just going through day-to-day outfits, my hair, makeup, things like that. If you want more detailed tutorials on some of the hair looks especially that I did in this little mini series, feel free to comment down below with all of your thoughts. And I mainly just wanted to kind of get sort of in front of the camera, instead of doing a voiceover this time, and really be one-to-one with you talking and just letting you know the gratitude that I have for all of you people here who watch these videos on either my YouTube channel or my Instagram. And just from the bottom of my heart, thank you all for just following and supporting me throughout all of these just different adventures I kind of dive into. And I will see you all on the next video. Thank you.